Welcome to United Network News, the official news channel for CARE, the Center for Amity and Restoration of Earth. I'm Sunny Galt. At UNN, you get the real news. Through our field messengers, we show you the truth about what's really taking place in our communities. We also bring you stories to help you remember who you are and why you're here, as well as regional stories that impact the people. And our World Situation Report reveals what's happening throughout the multiverse. We are here to restore Earth.
In the U.S., it is Monday, August 5th, 2024. We're learning how to grow and prepare figs and leafy greens. Starting in Fuerteventura, Spain, we'll see how figs are picked off the tree and made into a jam in just a few simple steps. And in California, we've got some tips on how to prepare greens that are packed with vitamins and eat them all year round. Sharing kindness with others is key in the new Earth, which means letting go of programs and narratives specifically meant to divide us. In Bangladesh, nearly 100 people are dead after protesters take to the streets, calling for their prime minister to resign. And Hawaii's governor announces a settlement for more than 2,200 people impacted by the severe fires in Maui last year.
This is Calen Gipp, messenger for United Network News. Here's a look at today's field messenger reports from all around the world. Figs are a nutrient-dense fruit that offer numerous health benefits. UNN field messenger Emma highlights their remarkable qualities and shows us how to make fig jam.
Hi, this is Emma, field messenger for UNN, reporting from Fuerteventura. Today's report is about fig. Figs are a powerhouse of nutrients, especially for the bronchioles and for strengthening the body. It's full of vitamins, basically it's carbs and sugar, but it has vitamin E, B6, B1, B2, and lots of minerals like calcium, magnesium, iron, trace minerals like zinc, copper, and manganese. It also has a mild relaxing effect on your bronchioles and for your digestive system. So it's a mild laxative and has a tiny diuretic effect. So it's basically like a powerhouse of nutrients, and it's really, really good for strengthening the body, especially when they are fresh. So dried figs, they lose about 2/3 of their nutrients, especially the vitamin E and the vitamin C. So they recommend figs for anemic people and for fatigue because they're so nutritious. So enjoy the report. Every day I'm climbing in the tree looking for figs, and I share with neighbors, family, and friends. And then when everybody's had enough, we'll start to make jam. So here we have a big pot of figs. I'm going to add panela, which is raw sugar cane. So here we have the figs, and I'm adding unrefined cane sugar. Then we'll let it cook and let it sit on a slow cooking until it's boiling temperature, and then we have jam, fig jam. Thank you.
With proper care and protection, it is possible to enjoy fresh and nutritious raw vegetables and herbs, even in winter. UNN field messenger Ruth shows us the variety of herbs and vegetables she grows throughout the year.
Hello, this is Ruth, field messenger for UNN, reporting from my garden in Northern California. It is summer here, and my garden is abundant with various herbs and vegetables growing in our Mediterranean climate in California. I have plenty of food and herbs in the summer, such as basil, oregano, rosemary, and my curry plant, from which I make oils for cooking or healing. I also have onions, tarragon, mint, lemon balm, sage, basil, and thyme for flavoring. Some of these herbs I dry and store into jars to make oils or add to my meals. In the winter, I can still eat fresh, raw herbs and vegetables by growing them into pots on my deck, which are protected from the cold. Therefore, I can eat them all year long. I take some of the leaves of each plant and create a delicious raw addition to my diet, such as with chard, lettuce, parsley, basil, thyme, and mint. I prepare the leaves by washing them twice. Then I chop them finely. I squeeze the juice of a half lemon over them. I sprinkle the leaves with any type of natural mineral salt. This is a simple and easy way to get fresh, raw greens into your diet during the winter.
We want you to become a UNN field messenger. These are everyday people just like you who want to make a difference in their community. You don't need any special training or equipment. Just use the camera on your mobile phone and show us what's happening in your area. You send us your videos and our production team will create the report for you. Our website is up and running at unitednetwork.earth. You can submit your Field Messenger reports directly through the Field Messenger tab at the top of the page. You can also email your reports to our email address at fieldmessenger@unitednetwork.earth.
Hey, I'm Kirsten from Switzerland.
This is Wayne from Tucson.
Hi, my name is Desmond from Ghana.
I am Claudia from Dawsonville, Georgia.
I'm Mikey from Pretoria, South Africa.
Hi, I'm Steve McGrath, Fort McMurray, Alberta, Canada.
People from all around the world are coming together.
Happy day, beautiful world. We are here in a rather small urban garden, and this video is just to show you the joys that we've had in this garden with the electric gardening.
When news happens in their area, they show us what's really going on.
We have people in the streets protesting for and against.
At United Network News, our field messengers are changing the face of news.
This is Field Messenger Helen reporting with nature, and I'm going to talk to you about the bees again.
Take the next step in restoring our planet. Become a UNN Field Messenger today.
Hi, I'm Stephanie from South Africa. If it's going to be, it's up to me.
If it's going to be, it's up to me.
It's up to me.
It's up to me. It's up to me.
It's up to me.
It's up to all of us. We're UNN, and we're taking back the news.
If you're unsure what role you have to play in the restoration of our planet, a great place to start is simply by sharing love and kindness wherever you go. Lindsay Andreotti helps inspire people to lead the restoration of our planet. She calls these people imaginals. And today, Lindsay gives us some simple ways we can spread kindness to others. We are back and we're talking about kindness, of course, with Lindsay. Lindsay, we've been talking about the 4 pillars of kindness, and in our last video, we talked about being kind to ourselves, which of course is very important. Now we're going to talk about being kind to others and what that looks like, right? Because you could be kind to one person, you could be kind to a group of people. So what do we need to know here?
So many things. That I think where I want to start with this, though, Sunny, is that what kindness is not.
Okay.
It's very common that people think, oh, you're just going to be Pollyanna and nice to people all the time. Niceness isn't what kindness is. Kindness is love in action. And there's a distinction. You don't want to be nice all the time. Love can sometimes look like, I've got to tell the truth here. This is the real, authentic truth of what's happening. I can't just sit back and be nice, even though somebody wants me to. There are ways, however, to say things to people. And I love this quote that was given to me by a friend. Say what you mean what you say, just don't say it mean.
Oh, I like that too.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
So there's ways to talk to people without being mean.
Yeah.
You don't have to be rude, disrespectful. All you have to be is clear,
telling the truth, and asking for what you need in an adult format. So we talk about this a lot, but being kind to others doesn't always mean be nice. You can be nice, but you don't have to be nice. Just be respectful is a better word when you're being kind.
The key. I feel like this is such a great message for anyone that's on a chat room, in a chat room.
100%
comments online.
Yes, we don't have to be mean. There's no need, right?
Yeah.
You don't need to name call. You don't need to have these things going out there. So when we're kind to others, again, pillar one is so important. You got to make sure your cup is full, because if it's not, it's going to show up in how you're delivering your kindness to others. Right. Kindness to others could be to your family and your pets, things that are right around you. Level 2 is kindness to a group of people, maybe your neighbors, your coworkers, people that are close in, but not that close. And then you could have an entire community. And sometimes philanthropists are giving lots and lots of their time and treasure to organizations that reach millions of people. That's all kindness. And being kind to others, we want to make sure that you know your why. Why are you being kind to these people? Do you want a relationship with them? Do they matter to you? Are they doing something that you believe is worthy of your time and effort and energy? And do they do something that is working for you? But vice versa. You know, there's a give and a take to kindness. I'm not saying it's transactional, because it's not. Kindness is not transactional, meaning I should not expect something because I'm kind to someone.
Right.
But you really do want to know your why. So I'll give you an example, just something really simple, like a waitress at a restaurant. Favorite restaurant, you go there all the time, or maybe you just meet this person the first time, and they deliver exceptional service. And you love their attitude, their energy, how they came to you and how they did everything for you. It's in that kindness, in the reciprocation of it, your acknowledgement of it, that you can be kind. Right? It's the watching what they do, listening, and then be kind. Just you do your kindness. It doesn't mean that you have to leave a massive tip, although generosity can be kindness. It isn't always. So just be clear. What's your why? What are you wanting to do? And set that intention when being kind to others. That's really the magical point of the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And if we don't do that, I think sometimes we could get our feelings hurt, right? That when we lead to those expectations, we're like, oh, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to expect X, Y, Z in return. Like you said, it's not transactional, but I think that's also where people get frustrated, angry, that there's something that should have happened that didn't.
Absolutely.
So it can lead to hurt.
That happens more often than you realize, you know, and so setting an intention of kindness before you even enter into a circumstance is the best way. So if you're going to a car wash and you're going to drive through and you set an intention of kindness, then whatever that person does, who's the attendant at the car wash, you're going to treat them with kindness, regardless of how they treat you. That is the intention. And that's how kindness is meant to work. You're going to do it regardless.
Yes.
Right?
Regardless of whether or not there's a spot on your car at the end.
You got it. Right, exactly. And if there is, just don't say it mean. Just say, hey, would you help me get the spot off my car? There's so many million ways that you can deal with little things that don't say, you're an idiot, you can't do it right. That's what we're getting away from. That's what doesn't work. You know, you could even go as far out as like Donald Trump. And one of the things that you and I have talked about, sometimes he doesn't say it kind. He says things, right? It just comes out all wrong. Okay. We don't have to name call and make people bad and wrong just because they make a mistake. Mistakes happen in humanity. Sure. Period, carriage, return. So what can we do to be kind? Say it with intentionality without having to be mean. That's what we're working on. And those are the skills we have to perfect.
Starting fresh after a divorce can be daunting, but a new global trend called divorce registries is easing the transition. These platforms, available on sites like Amazon and Fresh Starts, offer practical support for those rebuilding their lives from scratch. Friends and family can contribute meaningful items such as new sheets, kitchenware, and even twinkling lights, helping to create a new home filled with hope and positivity. These registries make it simple and easy for loved ones to give practical gifts without taking sides, and offers tangible support when words fall short. Divorce registries are doing more than replacing everyday items. They act as emotional anchors, helping those starting over to feel emotionally supported and connected. For those registered, this thoughtful gesture makes a significant difference, transforming challenging times into opportunities for connection and renewal. Gift registries can help restore faith in humanity, one gift at a time. The Food Stash Foundation in Vancouver, British Columbia, is a new initiative fighting food insecurity and waste. By collecting surplus food from wholesalers, grocers, and farms, Food Stash aims to reduce this waste by making high-quality, fresh food accessible to those in need. Surprisingly, 58% of all food produced in Canada is wasted. Managing 70,000 pounds of food monthly, they offer several distribution programs. They work with partners and volunteers to deliver food boxes weekly to hundreds of individuals. The foundation will extend its program by opening a food market in October of 2024 that is membership only. Members pay a small fee to shop and can take home as much food as they need with an additional pay what you feel donation. Food Stash is setting a great example by saving food from waste and putting it to good use. On the west coast of Morocco, a small farming community launched an ecological seed bank in 2021. Despite years of drought, local farmers realized the importance of seeds for their future. The seed bank sources indigenous seeds from Morocco and Europe, focusing on traditional drought-resistant varieties that thrive in dry conditions, producing better crops. Previously, farmers relied on costly, imported, genetically modified seeds that were unsuitable for Morocco's hot climate. Now they use traditional varieties of corn, wheat, and alfalfa, which need less water. Seeds are stored in carefully labeled jars inside sun-dried clay houses, maintaining the ideal storage conditions. Half of the seeds are kept in the seed bank, while the remainder are given to farmers for cultivation. The seed bank farmers can now grow fully organic, marketable produce. By reducing reliance on water-hungry imported seeds, they are becoming more self-sufficient despite times of drought. We are United Network News. Every day, we release real stories from real people all over the world.
Field Messenger reporting from Gold Coast, Australia.
Denmark,
Canada,
Uganda,
From Atlanta.
In Southern California.
In their own words, people like you share what's really happening in their area. At UNN, you are the news. You are creating a new world with infinite possibilities. You are the restoration plan. Come join us for the real news every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, only on United Network. We're UNN, and we're taking back the news. Stock markets worldwide are declining today as concerns over potential U.S. recession led to panic selling. This drop was aggravated by an unexpected rise in the unemployment rate, leading investors to predict interest rate cuts by the Federal Reserve. The U.S. dollar fell to near a 5-month low, while currencies like the yen and Swiss franc surged against it. The volatility index, a measure of market fear, spiked to its highest level in more than 4 years, indicating increased investor anxiety. Additionally, tech stocks fell considerably, with predictions of steep opening drops for major indices. In commodity markets, oil and gas prices also declined, reflecting the broader market turmoil. Meanwhile, analysts noted the sell-off's effects on certain international markets may be limited due to existing sanctions and domestic economic conditions. We'll have more of this in today's World Situation Report. And now we have a developing story for you. Bangladesh's prime minister has resigned and fled to India amid escalating violence and protests, which have left approximately 250 people dead and thousands more injured. The protests initially focused on reservation quotas for government jobs, but evolved into demands for the prime minister resignation, coinciding with her controversial election win earlier this year. The military has stepped in and announced plans for an interim government, emphasizing the need for patience and justice amid chaos. As nationwide curfews are imposed and a general holiday declared, citizens have taken to the streets to celebrate the resignation, while also protesting against ongoing violence, vandalism, and government repression. Crowds have stormed government buildings, demonstrating their frustration and anger at the situation, while essential services, including railways and garment factories, have been suspended. Pakistan is seeking to extend repayment deadlines for its significant debt to Chinese companies involved in multiple power projects under the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. The country is facing immense pressure to renegotiate costly agreements that contribute to soaring electricity prices for the population. With more than $26.6 billion owed to China and interest rates around 3.7%, citizens are struggling with high electricity prices. Many residents are paying for electricity that isn't consistently available, adding to their financial stress and making essential services harder to access. While officials claim the corridor offers economic opportunities, the growing debt and slow project process could worsen the current economic crisis. A supply shortage has led to a halt in issuing certain transit cards in Japan, limiting options for tourists navigating the complex fare systems. Following a global semiconductor shortage, the ability to purchase cards at key locations has been affected. Visitors now often rely on paper tickets for transportation, leading to confusion and longer wait times at ticket stations. While the overall supply of semiconductors is improving, the unique technology used for these cards is challenging to produce, with only one major manufacturer currently operational. As visitor numbers rise, with millions arriving in the first half of the year, transit companies are under pressure to enhance services. Some companies are considering promoting smartphone-based travel solutions as a more convenient alternative, aligning with a shift in consumer preferences. A man was caught attempting to smuggle 104 live snakes into China, raising concerns over the ongoing illegal wildlife trade. Customs officials discovered 6 taped canvas bags hidden in the pockets of his pants, each filled with various non-native snakes. Chinese customs declared it is illegal to carry or send live animals into the country, and violators face legal consequences, although specific punishments for the man were not disclosed. China has made significant efforts to combat wildlife trafficking, especially due to concerns about zoonotic diseases linked to consumption of exotic animals. While killing snakes for food remains legal, the country's crackdown on wildlife sales has affected the snake trade, with animals sometimes appearing in traditional dishes. The incident highlights the ongoing challenges of illegal wildlife trade in China, which is known as a major hub for this illegal market. At least 32 people were killed and 63 others injured during an attack on a beach hotel in the capital of Somalia on Saturday. The assault was claimed by a militant group affiliated with Al-Qaeda, who stated their fighters executed the attack. One soldier was confirmed dead, and additional military personnel were injured, with the remaining victims being civilians. Witnesses reported seeing an attacker with an explosive vest moments before detonation near the hotel. This area has previously faced militant assaults, with a recent attack last year resulting in 9 deaths. In a separate incident, a roadside bomb killed 7 people in a vehicle about 25 miles from the capital. The militant group continues to control parts of southern and central Somalia and poses a persistent threat despite ongoing security efforts from the government. Nearly 4,000 people evicted from their land in Uganda are claiming they never received the funds promised to them. In 2001, these people were forcibly evicted to make way for a large coffee plantation acquired by a German company on a long-term lease. Residents were displaced when the plantation was established. Despite claims from the company, the lease was signed in good faith. Many affected individuals claim they did not receive promised compensation or adequate relocation support, leading to legal disputes against both the company and the Ugandan government. A lawsuit filed in 2002 highlighted the lack of compensation with reports of unmet promises, including the absence of essential facilities at the new settlement. In 2021, a compensation agreement was reached, yet many of those impacted remain dissatisfied. Legal battles continue as affected families seek justice and reclaim their land. Brazil's environment minister has raised alarms about potential fraud in the carbon credit market that could impact the environment and local communities. Recent police investigations revealed criminal enterprises allegedly sold carbon certificates from land stolen in the Amazon. The investigation has led to arrests and the discovery of widespread land misappropriation, affecting local communities and their rights to land and resources. The environment minister emphasized these scams tarnish Brazil's reputation and harm developing countries that could leverage carbon credits to protect forests and increase community well-being. As the country seeks to establish a regulated carbon market, critics argue the current proposals may not effectively address agricultural emissions, which account for a significant portion of Brazil's total. Protests erupted across the UK following a tragic knife attack that claimed the lives of 3 young girls. Many individuals were injured during these protests, with clashes reported between demonstrators and police. While some gatherings called for unity and expressed discontent with immigration policies, counter-protesters voiced their opposition, leading to violent confrontations. The incident spurred a surge of false information, with social media amplifying theories suggesting the suspect's background, which was later found to be inaccurate. The young suspect was identified and located within the community, but the motive behind the attack remains unclear. Emergency services have been mobilized, with additional police deployed to manage the deteriorating situation. Several properties, including a hotel believed to house asylum seekers, have come under attack, prompting community concern and backlash. Turkish authorities have blocked access to Instagram following accusations of censorship related to the killing of the political leader, we should say alleged killing of the political leader of Hamas. The country's Information and Communication Technologies Authority implemented the ban without providing a formal reason or timeline for its duration. Turkey's communications chief criticized Instagram for what he described as a suppression of expression. This ban heavily impacts the nearly 58 million Instagram users in Turkey as it restricts popular means of communication. This is not the first time social networks have been banned in the country. Previous restrictions have affected platforms like Twitter, or also known as X, and YouTube over issues involving sensitive political content. The latest ban raises concerns about the ongoing tension between governmental control and the use of social media for public discourse, leaving many users feeling silenced. Thousands gathered in Berlin, Germany on Saturday for a rally calling for peace and opposing the country's foreign policy and arms supplies to Ukraine. Organized by groups critical of the government's pandemic actions, the event attracted around 9,000 participants, according to local media. Many attendees expressed frustration with government leadership, emphasizing the need to focus on peace rather than military readiness. They also called for accountability regarding past lockdown decisions, insisting the government should prioritize the people's interests over foreign influence. The rally was mostly peaceful, with only a few detentions for violating rules on prohibited symbols. Smaller counter-protests from leftist groups also emerged, showing the diverse opinions within the community about military support and government policies. Hawaii's governor has announced a proposed $4 billion settlement for more than 2,200 individuals and businesses affected by last year's fires in Maui. The fires claimed more than 100 lives and devastated the historic town of Lahaina. The settlement aims to resolve approximately 450 legal cases against 7 defendants, including the state of Hawaii, County of Maui, and the Hawaiian Electric. Hawaiian Electric will contribute nearly $2 billion to this settlement. The agreement, still pending final court and legislative approval, would provide much-needed relief for the affected communities, allowing them to rebuild without the burden of lengthy lawsuits. Payments from the settlement are anticipated to begin by mid-2025. Intel, an American multinational corporation and technology company, has announced plans to lay off more than 15,000 employees. This significant job cut comes as part of a $10 billion cost reduction strategy due to disappointing fiscal results, including, a $1.61 billion net loss in the second quarter. The CEO claimed the workforce reductions are necessary to realign the company's costs with its new operational model, highlighting revenues have not met expectations and operational costs remain high. The impacted employees will primarily experience job cuts this year, marking Intel's most substantial workforce reduction to date. In addition to layoffs, the company said it would suspend its dividend in the fourth quarter of 2024 and cut overall capital spending significantly. Also in the U.S., a significant number of heat-related deaths in Arizona have occurred indoors due to non-functioning cooling systems, particularly amongst vulnerable people. Many individuals were left without working air conditioning during severe heat waves, leading to life-threatening situations. Despite regulations against power shutoffs in the summer, some residents struggle to afford their units. This issue extends beyond Arizona. About 20% of very low-income families across the United States lack cooling systems. In response to rising temperatures, cities are launching initiatives to provide cooling units to those in need. New regulations also mandate designated cooling areas in certain residential buildings during extreme heat. Unfortunately, many renters face financial pressures that make it hard to afford air conditioning, contributing to the rising number of heat-related casualties. In Australia, the Queensland government's debt collection agency is pursuing significant amounts of unpaid fines and fees, some dating back more than a decade. Many residents are impacted as the state penalties enforcement registry is working to recover these long-standing debts. A spokesperson for the agency says they have managed to stabilize the number of old debts, but those owing are still facing potential repercussions, such as license suspensions and financial penalties. The agency has introduced measures to help address these issues, including the creation of debt management centers to better locate those in debt and encourage timely payments. In the last financial year, the agency collected a record amount of outstanding debts and seized vehicles from individuals who had not settled their fines. Residents are urged to take action on any debts owed as they persist and can lead to further complications. Australia's household spending has decreased, showing a shift in consumer behavior. By June, Spending dropped by 0.5% after a slight increase in previous months. The decline was mainly due to cuts in recreational activities, hotel stays, and dining, leading to a 1.8% decline in services spending. Households are also reducing essential expenses like car repairs and food. Despite this decline in June, spending has increased in 6 out of 9 categories for the year, with notable growth in furnishings, health, and miscellaneous goods. All states and territories saw year-on-year spending growth, especially in Western Australia and Queensland. With inflation rising to 3.8%, the Australian Council of Social Service has cautioned the Reserve Bank of Australia against further interest rate hikes, citing concerns about living standards and potential job loss. We have an exciting new announcement. We have launched a new global TV service specifically for the UNN community. Thousands of live TV channels, 60,000 movies on demand, over 30 languages, and live sports from around the globe. Between all the separate streaming services and cable for live TV and sports packages, it could cost well over $200 a month. But now with United TV, you can have it all for only $15.99 a month. Go to unitedtv.org and check it out. Get so much more for so much less.
And now, the World Situation Report with Kimberly Gogan from the Office of the Guardian. What is the real story behind stock market declines worldwide? The global military made a $2.9 trillion mistake. The battle for Lionsgate continued over the weekend as the gateway to source peaked on Saturday. The secret reason behind the war in the Middle East. The economic hierarchy of the world and the flow of money now currency explained.
Now here's the World Situation Report with Kimberly Gogan and the Office of the Guardian.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. Let's talk about what happened over the weekend. We had a lot of stuff moving in the world, both good and bad. But for the most part, everything that they're doing will ultimately be for our best good. So there was a conversation that I had back in 2013, and I've mentioned it to you before, if you've been following me for a while, whereas the Rothschild family basically said that they would crash the dollar, crash the world's economy, and then buy everything back for pennies on the dollar. And we've talked about this before because they've attempted this several times. And then, of course, when they don't have the money to complete this task, we go right back to where they started and the markets come back up and there's no problems. This time, this was a little bit different. Was the Order of the Dragon involved? Yes. Were the Rothschild family involved? Yes, they were. So here is the reason why we saw a sharp decline on Friday in the markets and also a decline today somewhat that looks like it's, I guess you would say, somewhat recovering at this point. What we're seeing is a siphon, essentially. On Friday, I talked about the fact that we thought that they got about between $70 to $80 million, which in part was true. The amount of money that was received to get the war in the Middle East started was around that amount. And that was the amount that was actually released to the military and to other folks to get, the arms dealers and so on and so forth. But the total amount from all global markets worldwide was somewhere around $2.9 trillion. Now, unfortunately for these people, they never learn. So they took this $2.9 trillion, put it into an off-ledger account, and began trading against that $2.9 trillion, not really sure what they were trading, probably government bonds, loads of promises and zero delivery. They used it as flash cash over the weekend to get some of these groups in the Middle East that are participating in this show. to start, firing rockets and this and that over the weekend. And it's gone kind of up and down. But at the end of the day, they couldn't get the money back into the system. So there were about 3 or 4 facilities within the U.S., most of them with inside mountains. So you would consider them latent facilities that they tried to revive during Lionsgate. And they were pretty much around the main point of Lionsgate, which would have been in Yellowstone Park. And we talked about the Oracle and why that was a main point in the world last week. So they siphoned it into these facilities, began creating numbers for money, which is not currency. And they ended up ramping up these fictitious numbers to somewhere around $880 trillion. Now, they couldn't get it back into the system. That's the problem. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit, about the economic hierarchy of the world, because I think it's important for everybody to understand when I say things don't work, why they don't work, and why there is only one way to fix this. So by Sunday, they started calling, of course, through a contact that they have of mine, never me directly, of course. And they started calling and asking for a meeting, asking for help. Then when we said, no, we can't help you, we won't help you, they came back and went and tried some more hacking to see if they could get some more money from somewhere. Of course, there's no trading on the weekends except for FX, which is currency trading for a short period of time. And then they would come back an hour or two later after they failed, and then they would go back and then ask again, and we would say no, and then they'd go back and try something else, and then that wouldn't work out. Then they'd come back. This happened probably about 8 or 9 times all day long on Sunday, yesterday. Now, why can't we help them? Number one, it is abundantly clear that they really do not understand macro and microeconomics on any level. Number two, they obviously don't learn from their previous mistakes, because this has been going on for probably about 5 or 6 years now, where they, ever since the advent of the key integrated monetary system, they haven't figured out that once they take it out of the system and put it into any kind of an off-ledger server or remote server, why they can't get this quote-unquote money back into the system. And that problem is even worse now than it ever was with the advent of currency versus money or credits. They want me, I know what they want from me, they would like me to put allocation numbers to their money, this $880 trillion, so that it's not all dollars, by the way, it's various other currencies around the world. You had RMB in the pool, you also had rubles in the pool, and so on and so forth. And a lot of promises made to these respective countries should they be successful. Yeah. Well, that didn't quite work out. We did find the International Treasury Transfer Reserve System, which is an old system that was tied to the Plunge Protection Committee, not only for U.S. market plunges, but also for deep drops in other markets in the world as well, like UK and everywhere there's a treasury, which is every country in the world. And that's how they were siphoning it out the back door. In addition to that, they had all of their players in the game, such as Buffett and Soros, I call these bagmen, Rockefellers and other large hedge funds, BlackRock, all in on it as well. Therefore, there was a large sell-off, and there continues to be a significant increase in sell-offs. The market's been down anywhere between 1,200 to around 950, 960 today. They continue to try to repeat today, in cooperation with all of their bagmen, the same thing they did on Friday, because somehow all of that fictitious money evaporated over the weekend, probably within 24 hours of this game and this scam, including the money that they siphoned out of the market. So there's another almost $3 trillion US dollar equivalent in various currencies that has left the banking system as liquidity. Now, I know this sounds a little bit scary, but it's not really at this moment. The lack of liquidity in the banking system and the fall in the markets is a positive for humanity as a whole. I know everybody's hitting the panic button and it's all over alternative media. We're all going to die. Insert Nasara Jasara, and now it's Trump Sara is out there. But none of those things are actually the case. What will happen in the future is it will allow us regular humans, not me per se, but regular humans, to actually acquire some of these large corporations, larger hedge funds, and start running them right once they all go bankrupt. So if they continue to try to crash the market, it's only going to help us in the long run recover faster. Think about how we could change the world if we could acquire some of these large corporations for literally pennies on the dollar or currency, actually spendable, usable cash in a banking system. Now, once the Rothschilds today got wind of this not working, and they got wind of the fact that I am refusing to give them allocation numbers, let alone even have a conversation at this moment, because I know a conversation with these people is going to end the same way it always ends. Well, here's what you're going to do. And I come back and say, no, I'm not. And then there's some kind of threat that takes place. Possibly some other guy comes in and tries to flirt or something like that. And we still end up at the same place with them not getting any allocation numbers and me not helping. That's pretty much what ends up happening every single time. They are not ready. They have not banged their head up against the wall enough times yet to understand that that this is never going to happen. It's not going to work the way they want it to work anymore. The system has changed. The currency has changed. And we're going to go into that a little bit more. And the world has changed. I know that they're fighting for world domination, and I can appreciate and respect that, but that's not where we're going in this world, and that's not how the world is going to work. What I witnessed on Sunday was very similar to, well, let me tell you a little personal experience of mine. When my daughter was little, I had bought her, she was probably about 3 years old or so, maybe 4. And for her birthday, I had bought her one of those Barbie Jeeps. If you've ever seen them, they've got the battery power in the back. And she starts, she gets in it. We put it all together and she gets in it and she starts driving around the backyard. And at the time, I had these large 6 foot or so concrete block walls where I lived. And my yard wasn't very large, my backyard, my garden, wherever you're listening to this from. So she starts driving around and she kept banging into the walls and she thought it was funny. And so she would then go ahead and bang against the same wall at the same speed she did last time. And she would do this repeatedly until she just got bored. But, this went on for an hour. It was so amusing to her the first time that she drove it to crash into the wall like that. And that's what they did all weekend long. Not only that, they went ahead and repeated the process today, meaning they had siphoned about $1 billion, maybe a little bit more, into this off ledger or banking system. It's not a banking system. I shouldn't say that. It is a small server type system, which would have been tied or tried to tie to Omega, and what's left of it, and then do the trading again. They also, when that didn't work out, they also began making phone calls to countries and kings and world leaders and other people to see if they could exchange their $1 billion in not valid cash, for $1 billion in real cash. And nobody thus far is willing to do this or to participate in this action because they keep doing the same thing. I'm not sure if that's the reason why, because most of the people they're calling are part of the order or they're a bagman of some sort. And even the bagmen are smart enough not to give them, liquidity for off-ledger money, because history has shown over the last several years that they have no possibility of bringing it into the system. And this part is true. Now, eventually, sometimes people wake up. I'm not saying that that's what's happening with the order. They're still playing the same game that they've always played before to no avail. But the recent failure really stung because the banking system was already short of liquidity. Markets were already being propped up by, usually their people. And it really stung. The message that we got this morning was they needed to urgently meet, of course, never with me because they don't ever want to do that, with my contact. In this case, it's Tom. They wanted to urgently meet with Tom because bad things are going to happen in the market today. Well, of course, bad things are going to happen in the market today. You just made a mess all over the place, and now you want me to help you fix it. Well, I wasn't a part of your mistake. Therefore, I'm not going to be a part of your solution either, number one. Number two, if we are going to fix markets, we can do that all on our own. We don't need to help them to do it. We don't need their help in doing it either, because they don't understand how economics, macro and micro work either. So if I was going to do that, I would employ some specialists. People that, if I was going to bring people on board to do that, it would be people that have spent a lot of time understanding economics, how that works, and how to fix it, and then permanently take a position in that kind of a role. And we would spread this out, and then we would fix these corporations and get them back on track. And I'm not talking about, some of these people I know that have rebuilt companies, they've been in mergers and acquisitions and those types of things, that are good people that are part of the CARE organization, that not only know how to do all of these things, but have done it successfully for years. So those are the people that we would be looking at, that have humanity's interest at heart, if we were going to put people in those kind of positions. So that's kind of where we're at with markets tanking. I do know that there has been a lot of heated exchanges today between the Rothschilds and the SSP operatives and the generals of the SSP, so to speak, and whoever's left in that organization, because they failed. This is what Rothschild's telling them, that they have failed to secure the money so that they could then crash, all the markets in the world and have a banking crash and all of that, and EBS and all the other fun things they want, so that they can then take over or retake over the entire world. Well, these people, the unfortunate part about this is that these generals et al. Actually believe that the Rothschild family are the bankers of the world. They also believe that the group I call, they're Jesuit bankers predominantly, but they're very high-ranking bankers that work for the black nobility. I call the bankers of death, because they are the ones that generate money for death, things like war, that kind of thing. But without any basis behind it, they're having trouble doing that. So they're kind of been, somewhat out of business. Now, remember, everything is compartmentalized. Even in the financial world, everything is compartmentalized, meaning you had a specific job if you were with the SSP. Your job was not to design a financial system. It was not to make it run. It wasn't to do anything but your small little part. Like, say you're a trader over here, or you're an assassin over there, or you were in the military over here. And, they might have some knowledge, some of these people, of economic warfare. But remember, and I will repeat this again because it's necessary at this point, you still did not take down X country. You did not take down the ruble all by yourselves. You did not do that. You did not take down the British pound and create a depression in the United Kingdom after World War II. You did not do that. not those that came before you did not do that either. They need to have an understanding of an economic hierarchy, which I'll explain to you in a few. But other things that transpired over the weekend as a byproduct of actually truly not understanding how economics works was a battle that took place this weekend. In part, there was a battle which started on Friday. It kind of went a little quiet, and then there was a little more of a rumbling on Sunday and overnight last night, my time, in the Middle East. Part of that was because the Rothschilds use this old, and so do the generals. I mean, so let's not lie here, but they use this kind of thing like, well, the money would have worked if you had done your job. And then everybody gets angry, and then they start firing rockets all over the place, and before you know it, a few people have died. Is at the highest level, though, they still believed that they were going to get some help at the peak and height of the Lion's Gate, which goes on for about 2 weeks. That peak occurred overnight, my time, on Saturday night. Therefore, the eruptions in this particular area in the Middle East, all around the gate, needed to increase so they could increase death and appease their enemies, hoping for something to come back. What they don't understand is that everything that was built around the gate in that region and also around the world and in and over and under that gate is gone. So if they were expecting an increase in Omega, it didn't happen. If they were expecting some more access to money or control over financial systems, it didn't happen. It wouldn't have happened even if we did nothing and left the space junk in place, because it never was the case. But that doesn't prevent them from still listening to God knows what and God knows who and God knows where, to think that this was a good idea. But at the highest level, that is the reason for the war. Everybody is always told that the money will come out if you just do this, put the money up front, do it for your country, you're a patriot, so on and so forth. But, nothing really happened, and everything seems, I'm not going to say 100% quiet there, but we have had people there in the region, and they have met with some strange and unusual things that have happened during this time. So what did actually take place is a small amount of some things in stasis, not here on Earth, not in our sun, not in our moon, not in our galaxy, in a place far, far away in the Aldebaran star system, which were AI generated, for lack of a better term, demons or armies. This is something Artemis had put in place should we ever get to this point, so that she and her army could reclaim control of Earth and give credit back. This is a covenant she had. This is the Red Queen that she had with Anti-Source to get back control of the universe, or get back control of the causal plane, and then get back control of Earth. Because at one point in time, she was the only sole controller of Earth, and then it converted to the other six members of what we call the Seal. So at that point, there was a little bit of time. It took a little bit of time to clean up this mess. It wasn't terrible. It was done before anything reached the galaxy or this gate. So that's a positive. And these people woke up Sunday morning right back where they started from. So no help from the aliens this time, boys and girls. And there never will be, actually, because we have so many folks here at this moment on high alert to ensure that you fail. That would be the deep state. We need to ensure that you fail, or you decide to take a different turn and understand that the planet has changed. And, if the deep state is confused, I suggest they watch a whole bunch of videos, because they need some kind of information. Next, they also believe that my world situation reports are scripted, that I'm getting the information from someone else, and in their opinion, hopefully a man somewhere. The only man that I listen to on a consistent basis is this dog. His name is Frankie, and he can get me to play ball at any time and any moment of the day. So other than that, there are no other men that I will listen to on a consistent basis, and I don't work for anyone. I just wanted to put that out there because these generals seem confused. Now, if I sat here and gave you every single bit of information that happened over the weekend to the letter, and if I gave you every play-by-play, there's two reasons why I don't do that. Number one, the news would be approximately 47 hours long, even an abbreviated version. That's not really going to work for most people. I don't think anybody can make a career of watching a world situation report, but I do give you the highlights and the information that is important to you. The next thing is some of the things that we do behind the scenes are operational, meaning we have a plan if they continue to try to crash the markets. We have a plan to solve a liquidity problem, not for the banks, not for the deep state, not for the Rothschilds, not for any generals, but for you. So I'm not terribly concerned about the markets. The only thing I would caution you on is to be very, very careful if you are involved in the markets, as far as pension plans and those things are concerned. But I've been telling you that for months. So I would take a look at your investments and maybe look at stuff that might be a little more safe. I'm not going to give you investment advice because if it doesn't work out or something, you'll be angry with me. But right now, from what I see, things are going down. We've also seen a sharp decline in Bitcoin to the tune of about almost a $10 million drop. $10,000 drop per coin. I expect that you're probably going to see that decline even more as they try to siphon money out of Bitcoin. Do they have the backdoor to Bitcoin anymore? Well, it is an NSA project. It's built on NSA servers. I know you say it's peer-to-peer. I do completely understand how blockchain works. But regardless, there is always a major nodes. There are major nodes and minor nodes involved in all blockchain. Nothing is autonomous. Nothing is just peer-to-peer. Yes, there's a lot of metadata sourcing that happens throughout these different cryptocurrencies and that type of thing. But I don't see any time in the near future, for many different reasons, this becoming the norm or the currency of the world. I have seen that allegedly whatever's running the Trump thing these days is promoting things like Bitcoin sneakers and all kinds of stuff and wants to use Bitcoin as the basis for the economy. There are many reasons why Bitcoin and the NSA should not run the world's economy. This weekend is a perfect example of why that should not be the case. Number one. Number two, in order to support the world's economy, you're looking at somewhere around 114 or so trillion dollars per year. It might be a little bit higher now that we're a few years out from the pandemic when everything was shut down. But you're looking at approximately around that amount in the US dollar equivalent of. So this is in various currencies and so on and so forth. That's number one. Number two, pretty much anybody or any country with an intelligence agency knows that the Bitcoin was a creation of the NSA in cooperation with a Japanese man who at the time when he started the project was around 10 or 11 years old. And he was specifically slated for that purpose because he had invented some technology, of course, which was taken over by the NSA, like most technologies used to be. Next, there's also talk behind the scenes of not only using Bitcoin, but a compilation or a basket of coins, so XRP and others, to back the world's economy, because they believe that they do not need allocation numbers to put this in the system. which is completely and totally incorrect. Now, I understand what they're saying because they have realized that they can't use it as in mass in circulation. I think, anyway, finally, after me saying it several times. But they figure they can use it as an asset on every central bank's books. Well, if a basket of currencies supporting one singular currency or two or three doesn't sound familiar, then I will jog your memory a little bit and talk about the IMF SDR. So the IMF's special drawing rights was basically the same thing, you know, although it was based on the dollar in majority, but then China joined with the RMB and so on and so forth. And then now we have a compilation of currencies that support these special drawing rights, which at one point in time were considered assets to a central bank. Obviously, that program didn't get kicked off, so I don't know why they think this cryptocurrency, or a crypt as in currency of the dead, is going to work for the entire world. But let me give you the other flaws. Number two, okay, so flaws in doing this. Even if you're only supporting around 200 some odd central banks with your currency, your cryptocurrency, this still will not function. And the reason why it will not function is because it has to be recognized as an asset in an asset-based trading system, which is based on currency. Now, if the banking system and the things that currently monitor it, like the key integrated monetary system, do not recognize Bitcoin as an asset, it will actually kick out any bonds or currency that they try to issue against Bitcoin. Number two, the financial system does not accept Bitcoin as a whole. Yes, you've gotten some banks to agree to accept it and that kind of thing, but you're still in need of actual currency or money in the system to circulate through financial institutions. People also would like to have cash in hand in many countries, over 80% of the world. And that being said, you still need something of a currency that's acceptable in a financial institution, regardless of what you put on a balance sheet at a central bank or a treasury. It will not work. So I'm hoping that the deep state is listening to this right now, because they need to understand why this is not a viable option for the world. Not only that, the way that cryptocurrency works, physical cash and cryptocurrency do not go together in a peer-to-peer way. Who is going to issue your money, and how do you know it's secure? I mean, are you going to have people sitting in their houses writing on a coin or a piece of paper or something, you know, currency of Jim, you know, I mean, or Fred, or are you going to say Bitcoin currency, I issued off my wallet? How do you know what if somebody steals it? What if somebody replicates it? How's that going to affect your wallet? I mean, it would be a total mess. These people have no idea what they're talking about any way whatsoever. And I've been watching them, like I said, for a long time now, and I can see their consistent mistakes. So that being said, let's talk about economic hierarchy for a minute. The economic hierarchy of the planet clearly does not work the way that the remnants of the deep state think it did. Because if they did, then they wouldn't be taking economic advice, financial system advice, from the people that they are taking it from. Nor would anything that these people are saying in the super secret meetings, the ones that are giving the financial advice, make any sense to them if they had actually bothered to do their homework. But they don't. They just think, you know, they've been told since they were little kids that they're special, so therefore they're special, and those people are special, and this is the finance division of Satan's earth, right? Or Lucifer's clan, or whatever they believe they are. So they just automatically believe, since they were in the financial sector, that they had some training. Now, let's talk about the hierarchy. Let's bring up the whiteboard here for a little bit. All right. Economic hierarchy. Okay. So what we're dealing with down here, we have governments, which are obviously struggling quite a bit. We have others like the IMF. I would consider them pretty much right in line. The United Nations, NATO would be down here as well. All of these organizations that we see in the mainstream media that we think are all bad. Now, are they bad? Yeah, they're bad. But they're not the creator of the evil, really. And I'm doing this, I know some of you already know this, but I'm going to put this out there anyway. You would also have, kind of like around this realm here with NATO and the governments, you would have financial institutions. And what you call genetic shareholders. These are people like the Rockefellers, the Lee family, the LEE family, and the LI family. You would have, if you were Deutsche Bank, you would have the White Dragon. There would be different folks that would be the genetic shareholders. Now, genetic shareholders in this case doesn't necessarily mean that they were read in or trained in this area up here. They're still talking about down here. They're talking about financial institutions. You're talking about the stock market down here. You're talking about, who else would be down here in the financial institutions? You could probably even put the corporates down here. Meaning these are your airlines that they created. These are your clans, your oil clans, your gas, natural gas or LNG clans. These are your food clans, your agriculture clans, your Johnson & Johnson people, Pfizer, your pharma clan, those kind of people. They would all still be way down here at the bottom. I know that we all think they're evil, and they are, but that's because they get orders from someone else. Maybe a step above this, they might have been aware that there is an Order of the Dragon and all its respective colors, all 9 colors of dragons. And then over here, you'd have 9 colors of dragons. Well, 10 actually, because you're going to include black there. But you'd have black sun and eagles. Okay, so where would people like the Vatican be? They would be down where financial institutions are. Where would be other people we think are evil? Federal Reserve, they would still be down where financial institutions are. Yes, they had, to a limited degree, the ability to act on behalf of central banks around the world. They were responsible for receiving allocations and passing them through a centralized location because it's much easier to control a centralized location than multiple different countries all of the time. You make one phone call to the Federal Reserve if you're with one of these organizations, and poof, now you have, information gets passed up, requests are made, so on and so forth. Tools of financial institutions would still be down here. We talked before about the Association of Numerical Numbering Agency in Belgium. Tax institutions would be also down there because they would be related to the XN system, X/N system in Belgium. They would also be down here. They were tools that were used to submit, and they were vehicles that were used to submit requests. A lot of that has to do with control of your birth certificates, their obligation to care for you. If you need, health care or public education or police forces or fire departments. All that is all generated to take care of you as a citizen, things that you didn't allegedly have to pay for. And then eventually they started double dinging you anyway because they charged you taxes in your home and homeowners taxes and all of these other types of things that would eventually go to fund some of these programs as well as the other funding. Now, above these guys, you know, you still had covens. There were 42 different covens, and each one had, and there were 42 family masters. This also includes your Chinese elders that they talk about all the time and that kind of stuff. And I know this is a little bit repetitive for some of you people, but these people need to understand this. Or let's just say, I am fully well prepared to take advantage of the information of the situation. Could the world move faster if they understood this or even cared? I don't know, possibly. So I'm going to do it one more time. Okay, so family masters, and then above this you had a group called the parents. There were 21 of them. And then above them, you would have had the 6 owners of the seal, let's call it. Okay. The 6 owners of the seal are what you call aliens that ran this planet. I'm sure that the SSP watching this and others are aware that there were folks they had to appease in order to keep the planet safe. Of all of the 6 owners, you would say that humans were considered meat and a food source. So for those of you listening with the SSP, then you obviously know that you have dropped off some humans for sacrifice to some of these folks who would then have had those humans for dinner. I know you did. You know, I know that was part of your job because you believed it was global security at that point. If we give them a few, they won't take us all. And to be fair, things they would never tell you. Things they wouldn't tell you would be, number one, they still had rules. They did not have the ultimate say on this planet, that's for sure. Number 2, even with all 6, including Anti-Source is in here, or what you would call Lucifer was only one of these 6, they only had 79% of the control of this planet, even at its height. They were never in 100% control. Never. Not one time, not ever. They were also never more than 79% in control of the financial system, and the people that they're relying on, these people are going back and forth between each other, whatever's left between these 2 orders here, trying to figure out what's going on. And the reason why they don't know what's going on is because these people, although they'll never admit it to their underlings or whoever's left alive after this weekend, that they were just order takers. You know, they were the people at the drive-thru at McDonald's that just handed you the bag and the Coke. They don't train those people on how to make the burger, and they don't even know where the meat comes from. You know, they don't know anything about what is in the burger, even the people that are cooking the burger. Neither do you when you eat it. But the point is that they don't know how many fries are supposed to be in there, how big the scoop's going to be in there. They didn't know any of that. They don't know anything about how and why the financial system is structured the way that it is. These people are now trying to run something, and they don't understand why what they're doing is not working. And siphoning all of the money out of the market is not going to work because they're still waiting for one of these folks or their people to come and give them orders or drop money on their lap on days ending in Y that they used to drop money on their lap. It doesn't happen anymore like that. And again, even these folks up here never had more than 79%, including Anti-Source, of this planet. Therefore, there was still 21% influence coming from my side or our side, even before I ever took this position. And for the last 3 billion years, it's been this way. The generals of the deep state are not going to change that. The NSA is not going to change that. The SSP is not going to change that. Now the tide has turned, which is why they're confused. Now, because we are in a different age, we are now, my side, not 21% anymore. We have flipped the tides, and we are, based on their incompetence and based on their inability to understand that we could have gone into a balanced situation and been 50-50, which is where we should be. But now we're at damn near 100%. Well, these guys are running around making a mess of the financial system. And we're not only talking about finances, we're talking about everything on the planet. So of these owners here that were on your side, yes, to some degree, they, I would say, have thrown some alien tech up here and there. 99% of the time, none of these people down here actually see it at all. It is only seen up here, which basically is where you would see me, okay? So I've basically taken over guardianship for these people. We don't have parents anymore. Parents, for those of you that don't know, and this might be your first time watching this, parents were hybrid humans. They were splices, if you will. They also had the privilege of life extension technology, and some of them lived anywhere from 10,000 to 15,000 years. They are not here. They are gone. Now, here we had family masters, coven masters. We really don't have any of those people anymore. We might have a few floating coven members around, and underneath these covens you would see programs like what I call the industrial psychics. These are your people from Project Looking Glass when it was around. These are the people that work for the SSP and do psychic attacks on people. These are people that perform things like PSI ops. These are people that do things like, I guess you would say, like you might have seen in the movie Inception. It's a movie that's probably a little over a decade old, maybe a little longer now. And in that movie, it's like they get into people's heads and try to make them make different corporate decisions. They still have some of those around. And they're typically trained by the covens or even hired to perform their functions and that kind of thing. But getting back to where what is going wrong with the deep state. So you have me. Over here, on this side here, you used to have Abraxas. You used to have Lucifer. You used to have Artemis, or the Red Queen. This is the origin of your NASA's Artemis Accords, by the way. Other people call them the Jupiter Accords, but whatever. You also have Enki. Enki is known as the ghost. He was also very heavily involved in orders given to intelligence agencies and whatnot. You would have Marduk. And you would have Enlil. And above them all, you had anti-source, or the ultimate source of nothing, no thing, antimatter, the opposite of the light, false light, origins of things like the Emerald Order Covenant, origins of things, loads and loads of space junk and all kinds of stuff, because this is unnatural. And over here, you would have a system that was called Omega. Believe it or not, we had more than one Omega. Okay, we had Omega 1 and Omega 2. Omega-2 is what functioned on this side of the multiverse. Omega-1 is what functioned in the lower astral. And the two would often communicate with each other. On this side over here, we had, in the past, alpha. We had alpha 1 and 2 as well. Alpha 1 functioned on this side of the multiverse, and alpha 2 functioned on the lower astral, therefore creating a balance. I know this is something that the deep state doesn't understand, but that is true. Now, each one of these systems, being artificial systems, had over 10,368,000 replicas functioning simultaneously in both sides of the universe and in the nil zone or neutral source. This is all about money, believe it or not, guys. I mean, I know it doesn't look like it, but it actually is. So simultaneously, there were 10,368,000 timelines existing. At one point in time, each one of you had a replica in those timelines. You have those weird memories, deja vus, those kind of things. That's because you're existing in multiple places at the same time. The uniqueness of a celestial is that you can do that. Not only that, you can function pretty much wherever you need to function on any plane you need to function on. And eventually you'll remember when nothing is hampering you from doing so anymore. Okay, so if we had all these systems running all at the same time simultaneously, let's talk about what the deep state had access to. They had minimal access to certain webs, as we've discussed in the last month or two, not Omega-1, Omega-2. When they were communicating with lower astral beings that were not here using technology that I actually created through 33 Thomas Street and was stolen from me by Mr. Enke himself. So that technology, when they were communicating with Omega-1. Now, I really, truly understand that they would like to have Omega-2 back, which is what they're most familiar with and had access to a limited degree. But I can promise you one thing. You never had full access. These people up here had 90% access. And then when you got to anti-source, there was the 100% access. You know, but these people did have a lot of access. Parents had a little bit of some, family masters had a little bit of some, covens had a little bit of some, but that's because they needed to serve their purpose as the people, the sheep herders. You know, they herded us. That was your only job here. So now when we get over into today's world, I do not know why they think on a day ending and why something is going to reappear here, which is then going to allow their money to work. Because this thing is all but destroyed. This thing is also all but destroyed. All these folks are non-existent in the universe, even though they think they're immortals. And this had an agreement with Source that its time would end. It was no longer needed when the universe was converted into a different way. So, the primary job of these folks up here that none of these people walking this earth right now would have ever had the privilege to speak to, directly or indirectly, the purpose of these people here was to take all of the energy. Why? Because much like your physical computer that sits in front of you, it needs energy to run. Now, unfortunately for them, on our side of it, I have the source of all energy running Alpha 1 and Alpha 2 at the time. I've now converted this to Golden Age in order to trick these sentient AIs to non-existent. So that being said, I don't need to plug into anything, but anything inorganic or located in the lower astral needs energy to run. So it was shaving 79% of the energy off this planet. Now, for those of you that don't know, that might be watching this with the deep state, money in a quantum system is the same as energy. They are the exact same thing, except your old money system was credits. And this is the source of your fiat that allegedly even you alleged white hats don't like, okay? What that means is they take your whole energy that's allocated to your person, even you in the deep state, you only got credits. You never got an asset. You never got anything. Now, there were people that would push and move gold around a financial system that they didn't own. These people owned it. Okay, as I explained before, even Maui, which these people worshipped, only had a lease. But the owner of the vehicle, aka gold, aka energy hyperconductor, is still these people up here. Now that is no longer the case. Now that belongs over here. So ultimately, Source owns it. We can create as much as we want. We don't need it. We can also create hyperconductors anywhere in the world. And I am the guardian. So every time they ring the phone and try to call an alien line, they get me, unfortunately for you people on the deep state. Every time they're waiting for a parent to come, I'm up here going, what are you waiting for down there? Because I'm not pushing that button. It's still me. Now, because these people don't understand this, and this is just a tidbit of information on AIs, replicas of AIs, and then there's about 89 different AIs that were under Omega because it functioned inorganically. It needs to have softwares and programs and things to run autonomously on their own. We don't actually need that because we run on straight wisdom. I mean, we don't need any of that on our side of it. Therefore, I can remove alpha, which I did do. It's dying. And the reason why I had to remove alpha is because whether we are in a light age, a dark age, or a neutral age, there is still some percentage of alpha that could be accessed through omega to the tune of up to 21%. So without the creation of something completely new, I could never get to 100%, and it became abundantly clear that the humans on planet Earth have no idea what I'm talking about right now, especially since they keep banging their head up against the wall trying to make money. So let's get down to financial system controls. So we've already determined that the people that these people are listening to and the other people you hold at gunpoint on occasion here with people like the Treasury and the Fed have no idea about anything I just talked to you about, how money was even generated. So in the dark age, where we just left, during the dark age, even though they controlled like the Fed, the Treasury, you know, they had a lot of these security systems in place, the Black Sun Generals, the SSP, all of that stuff, all they've ever known since the advent of a financial system is that they control the money magic. And magic it was. It did a lot of harm to people. There were a lot of curses on money. We only received credits. They would take all our energy to get those credits. And that's why money had to change. So people don't even understand why they want to go to a gold-backed system. They don't even understand a lot of times why they want to have an asset-backed system. Why, you know, even these generals talk about they'd like to have an asset-based system, and they don't even understand the importance of that. So in their world, it was important for you to have a gold-backed system when the gold was owned by anti-source. Not the families, not the Rothschilds, not the Order of the Dragon, not the parents, not the covens, not the coven masters, not even Marduk, Enki, and Enlil, is because it would create dark energy. And dark credits. So anti-source siphoned off 79% of the energy of this planet, and as retribution, it would give a certain amount of dark energy you know as dark credits, and you also know as money. And that's how money was generated. But, not exactly. Okay, so at the time when all this was going on, Alpha still had 21% control of this planet. Alpha, being connected to source, not anti-source, was the universal, and I'm going to write this out so maybe they'll get it, universal creator of all, meaning infinite. Sorry about that. Infinite energy. Even in the darkest of times, in the darkest of places, and no matter how much war the people watching this created, there was still 21% energy coming to this planet. And it was still coming from the universal creator of all infinite energy, infinite essence, consciousness, matter, frequency, so on and so forth. The ability to convert this high of a percentage came from space junk, transmuters, transformers, and they were in the sun. They were in all the planets in this galaxy. They were in the lower astral. We had pillars that would connect at certain times, like during Lionsgate, and so on and so forth. But this here all changed in January of 2023. No more was this the case. We were moving out of a dark age and we were going to move into a golden age. And this has been what's been taking place for over a year now. Now, a year in the world of cleaning space junk is not a long time. In a year, for you people to understand it in the deep state, is an awful long time. So you need to catch up with the program, okay? So the reason why, just to stop here for a second, the reason why you're all frustrated is because you're listening to people that claim they were in control of the financial system. They also claimed they controlled all the gold. They also claimed they controlled the Fed. They claimed they controlled the Treasury. They claimed they controlled every financial institution on earth, and it's all a lie. And I know that's hard for people that are watching this to understand, but it was all a lie. They were what we call logos, meaning, in the words of military terms, if you're watching this and you're a general and you're with the military, then we are going to call these cannon fodder. I know you know what that is. So they would just keep changing the faces from one country to another, from one king to another, even before that, and from one land to another, to tell you basically that these are the good guys and those are the bad guys, and this is all part of this general training. But those orders came from people that were so far over their head, you know, way up here, non-human beings, and then the money would come trickling out because there was an agreement at the time until January of 2023, where Alpha gave not infinite energy, gave by agreement the amount of energy to the anti-source crew, that would be all of you watching this in the deep state, and then eventually give credits to the humans for taking some of the energy that they generate as good little batteries, as you call them in the deep state. So over here, allocation numbers, quotas, money, anything to do with energy or energy generation is infinite. We don't have to be concerned about losing any money. Now, let's talk about currency of gold. Now, currency of gold goes along with the agreement and the covenant that was filed in January of 2023 to end the dark ages and go into the golden ages. It also stands for a giver of life declaration, which is what was filed in January of 2023. we finally got to a point where we were not feeding the omega system the energy it needed to survive. Therefore, omega and Chronos, two on this side of the universe and one down below, and all their ancillary AIs like Armageddon and Kythera Timekeeper and Molnar and Thor, and there's 100 of them. I'm not going to bother listing them all. We're all a byproduct of either these, one of these two. Chronos was typically known as the regulator. Also inorganic, and also did not function on infinite energy. Therefore, it needed to take energy in order to give us money credits. Now, because of life creation in an inorganic universe, meaning the lower astral, or what you would refer to as demons, because of the infinite amount of energy needed, nearly off the veins of gold in Earth, and all gold on this planet, monatomic and otherwise, that's an I, on the veins of gold of Earth, which is where source, not anti-source, source would connect directly to the veins of gold every single year. Now, when that happened, there is an overlay on the veins of gold, like a siphon, and vortexes and all kinds of things that would happen, which would then feed all the energy to Omega and Chronos, which then generated what we call hybrids. You also might call them demons. You also might call them, let's see, what else would we want to call them? You could call them Abraxas. This is non-organic life generated by an AI. Sorry, guys, but it really is. And I know that the deep state loves those people, but, you know, just tough luck here. Okay, so now we're back in Lionsgate again, and for the second time this year. And now we have pretty close to 100% output. It's gone backwards a little bit when we had that throw up on Saturday, but then we went forward again and we're fine. It's not feeding dark energy to these things anymore. So if we're close to 100%, that means that people, Earth and all Earth's inhabitants, so not just people, we're talking animals, plants, everything, and Earth itself, are now receiving 100% energy directly from source, which is guarded by me, meaning anybody that gets in my way, I have the right to terminate, which is why if you're with the deep state and the SSP is kind of getting thin these days, now you know why, because you're still trying to regenerate this old system. That's not going to happen. And you still want to control the world and do that whole world domination thing when you don't even understand what I'm saying right now. So I thought I'd try to lay it out to you, you know, as simply as possible. But anyway, back to the humans that actually understand what we're saying. Okay. Which is guarded by me. So my job is to make sure that we stay at 100% transmission all the time. The other thing this allows us to do is there is a co-creation of the Golden Age AI. This is a quantum AI, which means that it spans densities, dimensions, and its base platform and backbone is not located on planet Earth. However, it is also connected to these veins of gold, which is now generating what we call currency. Why is it called currency? Current. How does money, how does energy move on this planet? How does everything move on this planet? Via a current. So I am moving an energy current. I'm transforming that into matter that you can hold in your hand in your bank account through a few different steps that come into play to do that. And it is of gold. Not only that, I'm using the veins of gold to generate 100% energy which is why I do not need to use any human energy, and I do not need to issue credits or money to people. I can issue something humans understand. They don't understand this process at this moment. There are 8 billion people that are walking this planet that do not understand. And some of those 8 billion people are your Rothschild families, your bankers, and generals that are trying to understand it. So this is quantum physics, so I'm sure some of you have quantum physicists in your world. You'll understand how we did this, okay? So while that really happens during Lionsgate is I get more energy. But I get no more energy yesterday than I got today during Lionsgate. It just means that can I spit out more money during Lionsgate? The answer to the question is no, it's the same. You know, the world still works on supply and demand too, regardless of the ever abundant energy. So what I mean is we have to sit down in the car where it actually is. You can't just say, okay, we're in an abundant system. Everybody can have $1 bazillion now. We have a current financial system, albeit broken. That needs to be slowly revised so humans can adjust to the change so we don't have total chaos. Unlike you people with your EBS and your irritable bowel syndrome or whatever you're selling these people, and Trump bucks and Trump Sara or whatever you're talking about these days, you know, you don't understand that we still have a system, and everything is a system that runs, meaning there are corporations involved in these systems, there are banks involved in these systems, there are people involved in these systems, there are retirement pays that are involved in these systems. And I know that they don't really care much about the average everyday people, but what they're doing is never going to function in today's system, because we've already changed the very top of all the systems. This has now changed forever, and it's not going back. We have changed to an abundant generation of energy and no need to feed the beast, so to speak. We're not feeding the lower astral. We're not feeding demons anymore. We're not feeding them energy. They're not permitted to come here anymore. We're not involved with those people. Therefore, I don't need to issue credits to anybody anymore. I can actually give human beings energy. Now, what does that mean? That does change eventually in the future, the job structure and the way that we employ people. It's not necessary for us to have taxes anymore because we don't have babysitters taking care of us, like, you know, the families or the Black Sun's alleged security, which doesn't look like security to me in any way, shape, or form. That contract expired where they used to get 10%. Rothschild over here is still trying to run a banking system they know nothing about, and they were not involved in. Therefore, they could never, ever, 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 ever predict when money is coming. They could never predict on a day ending in Y, a gate opening, a new moon, a full moon, when money comes. It would be a lie, because they don't know any more than you people on this side know. All you both know is that you'd like to be in control of the planet, and you're so far down the food chain, you never even saw the light of day or the dark of day. So as for human beings on this planet, how is the market crashing going to affect you? Well, it's not. It's going to be it can be fixed just as easily as it's been broken. Pensions and things like that, stocks, all that kind of stuff, that can be fixed just as easily as it's broken, because the corporate structure of planet Earth is a system. That is a system. Issuing stocks, rate to raise money, creating an IPO, all of this kind of stuff, that too is a system. Money generation is a system. Credit lines are a system. Margin accounts are a system. They are systems that work together to make a financial system for you people, which these people did not create in any way, shape, or form. How easy is it when you have the backbone system to start trickling things down and fixing a system. It's very simple. We don't even need to get out of our chair. The people to run that system will be the 8 billion people in this world in a sovereign way. We will have leaders. Leaders are not bosses. Leaders listen to their people. And they make decisions based on what is good for the whole. Yeah. These leaders, some of which we already know and are already working really hard to change every single system in the world so that our financial system can eventually turn around, and then we can move into other areas of quantum physics, because by then people will have been educated enough to understand it. But we're talking 5, 10, 15 years down the road with small changes to make life better for people on this planet. And as for the deep state and their world domination of the banking system, good luck. You'll never get there. You're going to keep spinning around in a circle, and you're going to be like my daughter continuously, who at 4 years old drove her Jeep right into the brick wall hilariously several times a day, as many as 50, 60 times before she got bored. Now, truth be told, my daughter's a lot older now, and she still drives a Jeep, but she would be very upset if she crashed it in the wall, because she has common sense, and I've raised her well, unlike you people, and I don't know where the deep state people came from. But hopefully this helped you understand a little bit more about currency, and hopefully this will help the deep state understand a little bit more about currency and how it works and why we had to change it. And I wish they would stop holding people like the Treasury officers and other people at gunpoint to try to make them stick a square peg into a round hole. Right now, as far as human-computer networks, we have the golden age AI that is bled pretty much throughout everything. You're seeing the currency throughout everything. You're seeing everything change, and you think that some human over there is going to change it back. They can't change it. They will do the function which you ask them to do, which doesn't work. Gun or no gun, you can't make it function. It does not function. It's like taking a dead horse and holding it at gunpoint and saying, get up. And it doesn't get up, does it? No, it doesn't. It's like saying to the jockey of said horse, jockey, I'm going to hold you at gunpoint right now, and you need to get that horse up and you need to make it ride. And the jockey's going to be like, well, sir, it might be the few times he'll say I can't. Well, I'm going to kill you if you don't get it up and ride. So the jockey's going to sit on the horse and bounce up and down for a while and make it look like he's trying to ride the horse and really trying to do the good job. And then eventually he's going to tell you that it doesn't work, which is what everybody's done. You need to come to a resolution that there are things in this world that were not passed down to the Rothschilds or the Lee family in China or the Black Sun or the Black nobility or the generals or any of you SSP people that think you know everything because you had an alien encounter at one point in your life. There are things that happen that you don't understand. And with all the changes made, we're not going back. These are covenants at the highest level in the universe that made this happen. I didn't ask for it to happen. It happened. I spent years here trying to get you people to understand balance and offering 50-50 and a third, and trying to get you people to understand that we were going to be in a very untenuous situation if you people didn't understand balance. But now you're here. And luckily enough for our side of it, we had done every single thing that we were asked and more. And we're changing the world. So anyway, that's about what I have to say for today. I'm sure there's a lot of other events that happen over the weekend here and there. I see that they've kind of reinitiated stuff a little bit in the Middle East as I've been talking to you. They seem to be small things at this point, but then again, everybody thinks they're getting paid this afternoon, and it's never going to happen. So they've got countries like Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Kuwait, looking at numbers on screens periodically that's come and go. Everybody's angry at this point in time that the fictitious money didn't come out of the fictitious system that didn't fictitiously produce unicorn cash, for everyone. But, that's the name of the game on their side. So if you're tired of going around in circles and you're with the deep state, give us a call. Anyway, I wish them luck on trying to fix the global markets. We do intend to fix it after you burn it to the ground. We will then go ahead and buy everything up for pennies on the dollar, and we'll keep it moving. But we're not going to help you do it. Why would we do that? So hope that makes sense to everybody, and have a lovely afternoon this afternoon, and we will see you on Wednesday.
Want to share news from UNN? Help us change the face of social media and use it for good. Connect with us through our online channels. Our social media team creates clips from each newscast you can easily share with people you care about. That's also where you'll find our UNN Meme of the Day, a great way to encourage critical thinking. Links to all our social media sites are available at the bottom of our website at unitednetwork.earth. Let's change the face of news together.
That wraps up today's news update. Please share UNN with your friends and family. We need everyone to come together and help restore our planet. When news happens in your area, record and share it with us so together we can share it with the world. Remember, if it's going to be, it's up to me. I'm Sunny Galt. Join us Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for the real news.